Okay, so you go back to Medellin Falls.
Yeah, went back to work for Robinson Trucking because by this time the lady that I want to talk to is firmly entrenched as the secretary there.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't remember how long I worked there, but I hung around the office all the time. Get back from my run, instead of going home, I'd go sit in the office for an hour, 2 hours. Never ever really say a hell of a lot to her, just sit there and look at her.
I thought he was waiting for Mikey.
Oh.
So anyway, I eventually got enough nerve to... No, actually what happened, how we got together the first time was her faucets were leaking.
Uh-huh.
So I went and replaced all of the seats in her faucets. And boy, did I get teased about fixing her faucets. Which faucets you gonna fix, Carl? So that was the first time. I think it was a record-setting in the door, fix the faucets and out the door type thing. I don't think I slowed down for much of it, just other than... Nope, there you go. Thanks. See ya. Bye.
Wow.
Brave fella.
Yep. And then I finally worked up enough courage to ask her to a movie. And of course, at that time, if you wanted to go to the movie, you had to go to Spokane.
Uh-huh.
Because we didn't have a theater in Medellin Falls then. So we went to Spokane, and as I recall, we saw Far and Away. No, not Far and Away. It was the one that had Richard Dreyfuss. It was the smoke jumper
Always.
plane.
Always.
Yeah,
Always.
Yep, that's the one we saw.
Good romantic movie.
Yeah, and then all the way home, I told her my intent. Basically, talked her arm off and had her terrified by the time I took her home. But anyway, she decided to go out with me again, and things got better after that.
Mm-hmm. That's not scared her too bad.
Well, yes and no. But I don't know how long it took, but then we ended up getting married. And then I got in an argument with Mr. Robinson and it didn't work for him anymore, so then I went to work for Jerry Falloway driving the old beat up log truck, and somewhere along the line somebody hit me beside the head with a 2x4 and I ended up buying that beat up old log truck. And basically it's a sad tale from there because it goes downhill.
Oh no.
But then, what year did they start the dust pile? Anyway, they came to Medellin Falls, the contractor did, to cover the cement dust pile. And he was having a lot of trouble. He had some wide pad.
Is that the one?
Yeah.
93, 94.
He had some wide pad dozers and he's having trouble. That one operator got on it and started across the slope and slid to the bottom and got off and walked away. Didn't even bring the dozer back to the top.
Oh, Lord.
He couldn't get anybody to run him, and I happened to be sitting in the cafe listening to him one morning, and things were slow. It was downtime breakup for logging right then, so I said, I know I'm eavesdropping, but I'd sure like to give one of your dozers a shot. Would you consider giving me a shot? And he said, well, at this point in time, I'll give anybody a shot. He said, show up at 8 o'clock in the morning and we'll see what you got. I showed up at 8 o'clock in the morning for supposedly going to be about a 3-week job. Ended up working there for 3 years, redoing the dust pile. So
Really? Took 3 years to redo that. Now, was it just that one, or did you do more than just...
well, we reclaimed up high hill.
Uh-huh.
It took a long time to reclaim where we reclaimed. We stole dirt to cover and going back and doing things. The EPA got involved, so we had to do some work down by the creek and, you know, just...
And only a member of our family could drag a 3-week job out for 3 years.
With lousy pay, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was lousy pay. Operator scale, 45, it was outside the 45-mile zone, so it was zone 2, and it was $20 an hour anyway, right in Melling Falls, 5 minutes from home, and it's kind of like being in 7th heaven.
Yeah.
Somewhere in there you had a little girl.
Well, yeah, that was the year that I quit Beanie. That spring we had Deanna.
It was in the winter, honey. January.
Well, that winter we had Deanna. I guess it
Mm.
January 2nd.
The day before your birthday?
Yep.
I didn't realize that.
She was almost same day as me.
Oh.
Wow.
I didn't realize it was that close.
Yep, we made a flying trip to Colville that morning that Becky bet you can't even tell you what was going on.
I had my eyes closed. You were scaring me.
There's about 4 corners we touched down on all the way across.
Oh boy.
The old Oldsmobile was flying low.
Unreal.
Snowing like hell.
I think that was the worst snowstorm we had that year.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect time for it. Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. Unreal. Okay, so after you were done with the dust piles, what'd you do then?
Then I followed the same contractor into Spokane and worked for him at, well, I went to, built the Springdale turd ponds and built the Deer Park Ranch and Country Club,
Wow.
golf course work.
Mm-hmm.
And from there I came on into Spokane and worked for Woodard Construction for 3 years. And after Woodard Construction,
Did you work on the casino that next year? Or
yeah, I
something
worked on
else?
the Kalispell Indians Casino in Airway Heights the next year. Worked for myself in a little landscaping business for part of a year. That it's another one of them things that my wife especially would just like to forget.
Yeah.
Another failed attempt at stardom. And then I went to work for S.A. Gonzalez on Highway 395. And after them I went to work for MJM Construction last spring and worked for them up until October this year.
Wow.
What happened in October of this year?
I had congestive heart failure.
Really?
What
How
did
did
they
you
do
find
to
out
you?
about this?
Well, I got up and I didn't feel good and I didn't really think I wanted to go to work, but then I thought, well, you're not dying, so you better go to work.
Mm-hmm.
Got to work and didn't feel any better and got to feel a little worse, so come to find out I was dying.
Okay. Define feeling worse. What were you feeling? Like
Felt
flu
just
or?
like somebody had a belt around my chest and was tightening up the notches and not letting it go. I couldn't breathe.
Wow.
And I kind of dragged myself over and got in the pickup and drove over to the emergency room and got almost to the door of the emergency room, and this lady that was coming across the parking lot with a wheelchair scooped me up and said, "I think you need this."
Uh-huh.
Wheeled me in, and I had congestive heart failure, and they put me in the hospital.
Uh-huh. Now you went there, did you think you had asthma or something, or
Pneumonia.
pneumonia?
I
or?
figured I had pneumonia is what I,
Yeah.
because I didn't,
Mhm.
couldn't breathe and didn't feel good, didn't know that when your heart goes bad with what I had,
Mm-hmm.
doesn't get the fluid away from your lungs, and that's one of the symptoms is you can't breathe.
Wow.
So I was in the hospital for 3 days, and they turned me loose, and then sent me back to the cardiologist, and he did more tests, and he's a sneaky little bugger that took me in for a heart catheter test and kept me and did open heart surgery on me.
Uh-huh.
Had I known that he was going to do that, I might have thought twice about it. But now it's done, so.
Thank God you didn't think twice.
You may have thought twice. What? Give me your line of reasoning on that. What were you thinking about? Just.
Well, you know, that's kind of a scary thing
Mm-hmm.
to partake in.
Well, of course, yeah.
And if I'd have known that he was going to not let me out of the hospital after this test, I might have thought twice about going and having the test done.
Mm-hmm.
I'd maybe gotten a lot worse before I let him do the surgery.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it would have been stupid, but it would have been known to be the brightest bulb in the box, you know. But anyway, in a couple of months, I'll be ready to go back to work. And
So you got your old job there still?
no, I'm going to go back to work for S.A. Gonzalez on the new North-South Freeway.
Wow.
What I do is I'm a dozer operator. That my specialty is slopes,
Mm-hmm.
and there aren't a lot of guys that can do what I do as well as I do. So these guys know that now, and they're waiting for me to come back.
Wow.
And north-south freeway, from where to where are we going?
We're going from out at Wandamere down to Interstate 90.
Hmm.
They're starting the first section this year. It'll go through Meade,
Mhm.
come out over.
Kathy, you know, all that real steep hill as you leave Wandermere, cross the bridge and climb the
Mhm.
hill in new 4-lane.
Yeah.
He did all that dozer work up on the
On
slope
the slopes,
sideways.
all of the
Wow.
slopes that you see after you cross the Wandamere Bridge. On that side, just after you cross the bridge, I'm the guy that did all of that.
Wow. Well, good job. We're proud of you. Did you write your name anywhere up there?
Well, I can see all of the mistakes
Mm.
I made, but
I'd have carved my name in there somewhere.
Yeah.
The yellow snow.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Going back to your mom. What's the oddest thing you ever remember her doing? Something you just look at. You're like, what on earth is that all about?
the oddest thing that I ever remember my mother. God, there was so many odd things.
Give us a few then.
The day she chased Wirt Perello out of the kitchen in the feedlot with the butcher knife was right up there as one of them.
Odd moments.
She was, my folks never ever bought packaged bacon. They always bought slab bacon, and then Mom sliced it with the butcher knife for
Mhm.
breakfast. Wirt Perello came into the back door. She opened the door, and she went back to slicing this bacon as he's talking. And what he was saying is that us boys were stealing his manure and selling it, and he was getting damn tired of it.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom said that those boys are not selling your manure, and he called her a liar. And I thought, before he got to his truck, that my mom was going to carve him into little pieces with that butcher knife, because it was real close. Because I think he had maybe 2 steps on her all the way to the truck.
Ooh.
Wow.
And she was pretty mad.
Mm-mm-mm.
Wow.
And naturally, we were stealing his manure and selling it. we didn't ever tell Mom that.
Oh, no way. Oh, Lord.
But using his loader to load the pickups, too.
Oh, my God. Carl Joe.
Well, we got $5 a pickup load.
You'd have probably got 20.
No, he was never around, and what the hell?
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
was always in it. $5 in my pocket back in them days, that was a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. What are some other weird things you remember her doing?
Well, one of the other things is my mom and dad had had a standing argument about the car. She said there was something wrong with it. My dad said there ain't a damn thing wrong with the car. It made this funny little noise. So at the time, Mom was working at the Holy Family Hospital as a cook. And she worked from afternoon to 8 o'clock at night, I think. Anyway, we were all sitting around the house, and she went to work, and they had just had this discussion about something being wrong with the car. Dad said there's nothing wrong with the damn car, just go to work.
Mm-hmm.
So we lived at the feedlot, and there's a big long driveway, and then just before the end of it, it dropped down a real steep hill, and Trent Avenue was down there. So we watched the car go out of sight and drop over the hill. Never thought nothing of it. We're watching TV, and pretty soon see something moving out the living room window. Here comes Mom walking back up the driveway, and I'm pretty much sure she wasn't touching the driveway but out of every third step. And she was pretty much doing a goose step. You could see the smoke rolling out her ears way down there. She come storming in the back door and slammed it and said, "There ain't nothing the matter with the goddamn car, but it's down over the bank at the bottom of the driveway with the front axle out from under it."
Oh my God.
Oh, wow.
Well, come to find out that funny little noise was the front A-frame. The whole A-frame fell off the car as she was going down the steep part of the hill, and she went off the edge of the driveway. And when we went down to retrieve the car, all you could see was the gas tank sticking
Oh,
up straight in the air.
Oh,
Goodness
no.
sakes.
Oh, no.
So, Dad got the tractor and pulled her down in the hole and pulled it over and left it there overnight. Was going to get it the next night. Meanwhile, somebody went and stole the battery out of it.
Oh.
So that pissed him off, so he put another battery in it. And they come back to steal that one, and he shot their car full of holes. He didn't kill anybody, he just let them know that,
That was his battery.
gotcha.
Mm-mm-mm.
Mom, other odd things. Me and my brother used to like to terrorize her.
How?
Being brothers.
When we lived in Alaska, she was up on the pipeline on the slope at Chandelar Camp, and we'd call her up and tell her that, you know, the car got wrecked or this or that. We couldn't meet her at the airport because we didn't have a car, because Tom or I had wrecked it, and it was a brand new car that she bought, you know.
Had you really wrecked the car?
No,
No, just did it to be mean.
just did it to be mean.
Rotten kid.
One time I was supposed to pick her up at the airport. Instead of taking the car, while she was gone, I came home from the North Slope and had a whole bunch of money in my pocket, so I went and bought a new motorcycle. So when she comes out with her with her duffel bag and stuff to get in the car to go home, all that's sitting there is this brand new motorcycle, and I said, here's the helmet, get on.
Did you?
Yeah,
Yep.
didn't have a choice. Of course, it didn't go far, and Tom met us with the car.
Mm.
Just little things like that.
Keep her young.
Mm. Keep her huffing.
Yeah. Now, I always knew her to be really, really knowledgeable about a bunch of different things. What are some of the things you remember her knowing an awful lot about?
The dirt on everybody in Meadowing Falls.
Yes, she knew everything about
Clear
everybody.
back to when God was a baby.
Yes. She may think she's hot, but her great grandmother was a slut.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh Lord!
She knew,
Every plant on the face of the earth.
yeah,
And
just
everything
about.
it was good for.
Yeah, and she knew about what you could go out in the woods and pick, like Princess Pine, and which mushrooms to eat and which ones not to eat. And then back to Medellin Falls, I mean, she knew what every place was and what it was originally called. And, oh, yeah, that's right, you don't call it that, you call it such and such because, you know, it was the Zimmer place 82 years ago, but now it's the you know,
Whatever. Yeah.
she knew them all right from day one. And
Do you remember when they go up mushrooming and make Marky stick his head out the window or whatever because Marky could smell them because it made him sick, the mushrooms? And I think it was you that told me that, wasn't it, Bert? I can't remember who told me about it. Probably Aunt Betty. They used to make Marky go with them because he could smell the mushrooms and made him sick. So when he started getting sick, they knew they were close by and they stopped and picked mushrooms.
well, and she had different mushroom patches that
Nobody dared
she
touch.
didn't know. Yeah, you don't divulge the secret of where the mushroom patch is or the huckleberries. I mean, you don't just tell anybody.
And the wild asparagus.
Mhm.
You don't tell anybody. Mrs. Huffine would cut your head off if you tried to get in her wild asparagus place.
Yeah, and that's no shit.
I know, she would have killed him with an axe.
Or butcher
Or
knife.
a butcher knife, whatever was handy. Oh,
She still is a spooky lady.
she's crazy. I didn't know she was still alive. Always been.
Oh yeah.
Always been a Looney Tune.
Yep. Okay, Mom, help me out here with some other wild tidbits.
You couldn't trust her to get in the car and go where she said she was gonna go.
Oh no, we're
No,
going to
no.
be gone just a moment. I just want to show you this one place. I promise we'll just be gone for just a minute. Pack a lunch because you're going to be there all day long.
Yeah, and Mom, where are you going huckleberrying? Oh, we're going up on Monumental, and she was actually going the other direction, out Russian Creek or something, you know. And she used to go out in that old car that I bought her, that old Dodge, years ago. Old Daisy. She'd be out bombing around clear the hell and gone up in the middle of nowhere. Nobody knew where she's at.
She knew where she's at.
Well, yeah.
Well, if she'd find a road she'd never been up, she'd just go
Oh,
up
well,
it.
yeah. Gotta try and see where this
There
goes.
might be fruit or weeds or something there that we need to go back
Oh,
for.
God, let's not go into the weeds.
Well, yeah, we just got to stop for this just 1 minute while I pick these weeds.
I know, I've been there, done that.
On the freeway. Aunt Betty, we cannot pull over on the freeway. Yeah, just for a second. I just got to get I've never had these ones before.
It got to be a family joke when I was driving and she was in the car. She'd go, and I'd step on the gas. She used to do that just to get my goat.
Yep.
Oh, look, Carl. I didn't want him anyway.
Oh, Lord.
God, we always had weeds hanging upside down in whatever house we lived
And baskets.
in. Yeah. But I will say this, she made the most beautiful dried flower arrangements of anybody that I've ever
And
seen.
gave them
Oh,
to
yeah.
people at the nursing homes and at the
Yeah.
church and their neighbors and
Was not stingy with them at all.
Mm-hmm.
I hate to admit, but it was almost worth the hassle of getting the damn weeds.
I don't remember anything odd or weird about Aunt Betty, but I remember when I was a little girl and they lived up on Grandview Flats, Uncle Gus was running the tractor way down there. I don't know what he was doing down there. I just remember him being on the tractor way down the road. And I said, "You are the luckiest person in the world." And she's busy. And she goes, "Why am I the luckiest person in the world?" I said, "Being married to that man." She goes, "Why?" And I said, "He smiles all the time. Look at him. You can see him clear from up here. He's smiling all the time." She goes, "He's not smiling. His teeth don't fit. He's grinding his teeth." After that, I was terrified of him. I never went near him again.
He wasn't.
That was so funny.
He was never smiling.
No, he was
Everybody
gritting
thought
his
he was
teeth.
smiling. He wasn't smiling. He was gritting his teeth.
His teeth don't fit.
And with
So
Dad,
funny.
you could tell how the day was going by where he's at. He never ever Throw me my hat, Becky. It's right behind you on the floor. Now, my dad never ever wore a hat like that. If he saw you with your hat on like that,
Knock it off.
he would knock you silly. Bohunks and Swedes wear their hat like that. You wear your hat, you always got her.
Yep, yes.
Yep.
And when Dad was having less than a good day, you
Ew.
could tell by where the bill was. And when the bill was put over his ear like that, God help you, just stay the hell out of his way, because something's going to hurt. But it was always, you know, it started out as a good
Yeah.
day, and the hat started out, it was never ever square, it was
No,
always
off to the side.
always off to the side, and then when the bill started doing that,
And he started grinning.
Yeah.
yeah, the farther the hat comes,
One time when we were up at the feedlot, he was out working on some piece of machinery, and I went out there, and everything was a morphodite, son of a bitch. And I said, I know what a son of a bitch is, but what's a morphodite? And he looked at me for a minute and went, go ask your aunt. It was so funny. I still can't believe I had the nerve to say that, but I wanted to know.
As you mentioned that, way back at the beginning of this, I mentioned Miss Segerstrom. Well, I asked him what a morphodite was too.
Oh
He said, look it up in the dictionary.
no! Oh Lord.
Well, our dictionary didn't have it.
Uh-huh.
Miss Segerstrom had a dictionary that was about this big and this thick.
And unabridged. Yeah.
And I went in, and this little short, rotund little lady, I went in and said, do you suppose morphodite would be in your dictionary? She never ever batted an eyelash. She said, yes, I think it is. And I went over there and I looked up morphodite and I turned about as red as that candle right there.
Oh
And was so embarrassed, and she just kind of giggled and
Now
said, did you find it?
no! Oh
I
yes.
said, oh yeah.
And who was it? He called all Canadians Doukhobors or something like
No,
that.
no, 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 no.
Who was it? He was called the Doukhobors.
Well, the Canadians were Doukhobors, but we didn't call them that. We got in trouble for calling them Doukhobors.
Well, isn't it him that started it? Did he call them Doukhobors? That's where I
Well,
got it.
there's a sect of
Yeah.
Canadians that are Doukhobors, but that whole thing got started when we were going on a trip up there.
Uh-huh.
And us kids are in the back seat, and before you got to Salmo, Canadians are a little strange, and this guy was building a house out of 2x4s. And Ken, I don't remember how old he was. He was less than, I was just real small, so I don't know how old he was, but he said, geez, look at the house. Look at the 2x4 house. And Mom and Dad thought he said, look at the Doukhobor house. Well, and about that quick, Mom was turning around slapping the crap out of him. We don't call them Doukhobors.
I said two before.
And yeah, that finally come out, miles down.
Yeah.
I said 2x4, Mom. And then it was a big funny deal,
Yeah.
so that's where the Doukhobor thing.
Oh Lord.
Because they're basically crazy Russians, the Doukhobors are, and if you make fun of them, they just might kill you.
Oh.
They're-
Well, I can remember him saying something about goddamn Doukhobors.
well, yeah, because basically everybody from across the line was a Doukhobor to Dad.
Yeah. Oh Lord.
That and Kubotas was the Japs.
Yep.
Round to the Jap and get me a pound of nails.
They had a Japanese boy there in town that you called Tojo all the time. I can remember when we were kids, you called him Tojo, Tokyo Joe, but it was Tojo. I can't remember what kid it was. Whether it was it had to be one of the Kubota
Yeah,
kids.
it was Jimmy Kubota.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was Tojo.
Tojo. And you said it in front of your mom one time. She's
Yeah.
about knocking across the room. He
Yeah.
said I could call him that.
Mhm.
In Bose, you realize the stack at the end of the counter is gone.
What?
The what?
The stack in Kubota store at the end of the counter is gone.
The stack of what?
Everything that's been returned for the last 90 years.
Oh, no kidding.
We were over there this summer, and everybody always wanted to know what was on the bottom of that stack, and he cleaned it up, and nobody knew it.
Oh.
I thought Ken was going to have a heart attack when JR and I come back and says the stack in Kubota's is gone. Ken's eyes got real big. Whoa! I don't know when he cleaned it up, but it's gone.
Oh, Lord.
You know, the sad part of Kubota's is once Herb dies,
It's done.
well, I guess George might keep it until he's done, but none of the kids. It goes to the oldest surviving kid. You know, like it went from Grandpa George to Herb. Herb has no kids, so then it would go to Jimmy. He's a doctor back east somewhere. He doesn't want to come back
Your
there.
mom and Herb used to butt heads every time she'd go in there and want to buy something. You don't need that.
Yeah, what do you want that for, Betty?
He wouldn't sell it to her.
Oh, for heaven's
Absolutely
sake.
refused. If he didn't think she needed it, she wasn't going to get it.
Oh, my God.
Didn't matter what it was. Nope, you don't need that.
Oh,
But
Lord.
he didn't just do that with Mom. He does that with everybody.
Oh, I knew it was
Lord.
her because they butted heads one day when I was in there.
Oh, I know. She got really mad at him. But whoever you were, you go in there. Well, I'm looking for. Well, what do you want that for? Well, I'm doing it. No, you don't need that.
End of subject.
End of subject. You wasn't going to get it, so you might as well just turn around and go out the door because Herb didn't think you needed it. You wasn't
You're
getting
going to
it.
waste your money on it.
After all these years, I walked in there just before Christmas, before Aunt Betty died. And I walked in, I says, "Hi, Herb." He says, "Oh, I threw that out years ago." And I said,
Oh, my
"What?"
God.
He says, "Well, the phonograph that you left here to be fixed," he said, "I threw that out a few years
Oh,
ago."
my God.
Because he'd ask about it every once in a while. Parts will be in pretty soon. And I'll
Oh,
have that
Lord.
right out.
Well, Merritt Rice used to send his TV Christmas cards. He took it in there to get it fixed. And the second year, it wasn't funny anymore. He sent a Christmas card to Herb for his TV.
Oh,
and
my
I
God.
just thought I'd send my TV Christmas card.
Oh, no. Oh, Lord.
Yeah, Herb never ever was real big on the repair side of the.
Yeah.
No rush.
That's funny.
Get to it one of these days.
What are some more interesting stories you have to tell about Medellin Falls?
You were working up there when they filmed that Kevin Costner movie, weren't you?
Oh God, yes. That was during Mom's funeral.
Was it?
Yeah,
I
my mother was late to her own funeral. You didn't know that, did you?
no.
We went to the church, had the funeral, then we had to go to the cemetery.
Mhm.
Well, I had forgot the damn urn
He forgot Mom.
up at my house, and they were filming the gate scenes
Mhm.
that day, so the whole funeral procession goes over to the funeral, and they're all standing around kicking dirt clods. Well, I'm sitting over there for about an hour waiting to get through the damn gate
Oh my
with
God.
Mom so we can.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was not. It was a pretty typical Martin show, you know.
Well, yeah. Uncle Gus was, your dad was late for his own funeral. When remember the hearse had a flat or whatever coming in, and we all giggled for the whole funeral. Don't you remember that? Oh God.
Actually, I don't really remember much about Dad's funeral.
Oh Lord. Yeah, they had a flat tire, so he was like a half an hour late to his own funeral, and we all giggled all the way through the funeral.
All I really remember about Dad's funeral is I didn't really have guts enough to walk up,
Mm-hmm.
and,
I wouldn't. I didn't either.
but
I did.
I walked up, and the mortician, I don't know if he knew Dad or what, but you know that little grin you were talking about?
Mm-hmm.
That was on Dad's face.
No.
He was laying there looking up at with that grin on his face.
Well, he had his head turned aside like he was just laying there taking
Yeah,
a nap.
just you know.
Dozed off with a grin on his face. Good
And-
job on.
And that's pretty much when I lost it.
I didn't go up there.
I just
No way.
expected him, like you said, I expected him to open his eyes and jump up any minute and say, "Hey, wait, just a minute!
Yeah.
What the hell's going on?"
Yeah.
Yeah, I left before that, but I remember the jumper cables in the parking lot because all Uncle Don's kids had to be jumped before we could go up to the graveyard.
Your dad do
Typical Mark
anything
Joe.
really funny you remember?
Mm. So many stories that hold good and bad memories. I mean, they're funny.
Funnier now than they were then.
Well, most of them involve alcohol. And as we look back on things like that, it's not really as funny as, because face it, when you guys, as mother and Uncle Don and Dad got together, you could pretty much figure they were going to sit at the kitchen table and drink all night long.
Mm-hmm.
And as we know now in the world, that's not really good.
Me and Uncle Gus chasing Uncle Don through the tavern with the horse and the donkey wasn't funny.
Well,
That was alcohol
Do you-
related.
and what was even more funny than that is when Uncle Don fell off the damn donkey, the doctor got on the donkey and was going to ride the donkey on home for him.
Oh God.
He got thrown off the donkey too.
In the tavern.
Yeah, they rode right into the tavern. Dad was on Chum and Uncle Don was on the burro. Or the donkey, whatever it was. Yeah, they rode right on in. They were kind of laughing at them fellas.
Did you ever ask him about that later on? Like, what were you thinking?
Well, no. No, you see, we didn't. Back in these days, we were, especially the little kids,
Yes.
Uh-huh.
we just kind of went and were somewhere where we could listen
Invisible.
Not be seen.
and not be seen, but we could hear.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you were only 18 when Uncle Gus passed. About 18 when Uncle Gus passed away. Yeah. So he wasn't very old when he lost his dad.
Mm-hmm.
Never got to know him as an adult.
No,
Uh-huh.
I didn't. And that is one thing that I've always regretted, that I didn't get that chance. I was just getting to the point where,
You could have enjoyed it.
Because as a kid, you can't talk to you can't ask your parents, what the hell were you thinking when you rode that
Mm-hmm.
horse into the bar, whatever.
no, and like I
Yeah.
say, they'd get together and we'd hear about these things
Mm-hmm.
years later as we were hiding in the woodwork and they're telling stories as
Reminiscing.
they're sitting at the kitchen table.
Mm-hmm. Well, if you're listening to these stories, what was the wildest story you ever remember hearing?
I would say probably the wildest story that I ever remember hearing is the one about my Uncle Bill. He was known as Cougar Bill Nelson because he was a cougar hunter. So he came in from hunting one afternoon to the Portal Tavern, and all of his cronies were sitting in there, and he said, "Well, I caught me a cougar today." And they all, "Yeah, right, sure." And pissed him off, and he went out and he got the cougar and brought it in and turned it loose and sat there and drank his beer while these people are freaking out because the cougar's freaking out. But he had caught a young cougar, and they didn't believe him, and he proved to them that he did.
Wow.
Of course, he nonchalantly supposedly sat there and drank his beer. Well, the cat's going crazy trying to get out. Other times, I remember one 4th of July, we had some firecrackers, and unbeknownst to us, Uncle Bill was out in the woods, and every time we'd light a firecracker, he'd set off a quarter stick of dynamite, so when it'd go off, boy, it'd make one hell of a noise. Well, he was out there with dynamite tossing it around.
Give you a good show.
There was just several good things about being raised where I was when I was. You know, for the first part of my life, we got off the school bus at 3:30 in the afternoon. Same time my dad drove in from work. Mom didn't work, so we'd go in the kitchen and there would always be either fresh homemade bread or fresh cookies or fresh pie or something coming out of the oven. Everybody'd sit down at the kitchen table and have a snack, and then you changed clothes and you went out and did your chores, and which, you know, that'd take quite a while. Everybody had something to do, and then dinner time rolled around and we'd all sit down at the big dining room table, and I don't think my mom ever served dinner, but what there wasn't 4 or 5 extras. But it didn't matter, she just put out an extra plate, and whatever showed up, it was, you know, there was always plenty of grub to go around. All the old bachelors from up at the CC camp and the Forest Service managed to show up 2 or 3 times a week, and then after dinner, Ken and Jane would fight over doing the dishes and discover that Malmac actually is breakable.
I think Uncle Ken told you about that one on his tape. The Unbreakable Melmac.
I think
Yeah, I
so.
remember that. I'm talking about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. What was the favorite thing your mom made that you loved the most?
Boy.
Everything.
That'd be hard to choose.
Give us a few examples of the good stuff.
Where do you start?
But these
Apple
pies,
pie was
bread.
made with bear lard,
Yeah.
the crust.
Huh?
Oh.
Say that louder.
She'd make an apple pie and her crust was made with bear lard, rendered fat from a bear, and it is to die for. It's so flaky and light and fluffy.
And
Wow.
nothing on this earth tastes the same.
Mm-mm.
She made one hell of a good chicken fried steak too. Taught me how to do that. Of course, I don't eat stuff like that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I do.
When we were up at the feedlot, she was baking bread, and I happened to be there at the house, and she pulled Rhodes frozen bread out of the freezer, and I said, "I thought you baked your own bread." And she said, "I do, and if you ever tell Uncle Gus any different, I'll kill you."
I was gonna say, she
Yep.
cheated on the bread for years.
Oh yeah. That was funny.
She
She
had
was also
arthritis so bad for one thing, that kneading the bread just.
She was also a 30-minute wonder on the house too.
Oh yeah.
30
Nice.
minutes before the old man was supposed to be home from work, boy,
Mhm.
the white tornado hit the house, and all of a sudden it was spotless.
Every Saturday, us kids cleaned our little hearts out,
Yeah, well,
scrubbing everything down.
you didn't have to do the woodwork near as many times
Yes,
as
you
I did.
did. I don't know. What was it you guys named your dishwasher?
I don't
Hazel?
remember. Yeah, Hazel.
Hazel was the dishwasher.
hmm
Remember that? That was funny.
A lot of good the damn dishwasher did. We had to wash the dishes cleaner before we put them in the dishwasher. Then we might as well just put them in the cupboard.
Yep.
We put them in the dishwasher to sanitize them.
Well, they were sterilized when they come out of the dishwasher. That's
Yeah.
all I was doing. They was already washed before they went in there. And Dad hated that too. Yeah, you gotta turn the goddamn dishwasher on when I'm trying to watch the news. And I understand now because I'm the same way. I can't hear.
Mhm.
And that dishwasher has just the perfect tone to blank out everything else. That's all you can hear is that. Of course, I don't have a dishwasher at my house, much to my wife's chagrin.
Really whiny dishwasher is what you have.
Yeah.
You were saying something about what, moose?
Yeah, tell us about your moose hunting trip.
Moose hunting trip?
God, you better have another 3-4 tapes.
I'm stacked. I don't have a problem.
Well, I have this very good friend that gave me the opportunity of a lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
There was 3 of us went in his boat, and it cost each of us $1,000.
Okay.
We put 10 barrels of gas and food for 3 men for a month in the boat.
Wow.
Flat bottom river boat. And we drove from Fairbanks up to Manly Hot Springs, which is, how far is that? I don't remember right off the top of my head. It's over 200 miles. I don't know. It might be about closer to 400 miles.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, then you put in the Tanana River at Manly Hot Springs, and you run down the Tanana River, and in that you have to go through Squaw Crossing, which is where the river is 2 miles wide, and there's several faults channels, and unless you know the river, you'll be motoring along and all of a sudden you're sitting high and dry on a sandbar.
Oh no.
So then you have to take those 10 barrels of gas out of the boat, push the boat back off the sandbar, and put all of the barrels back. And we did it once.
Oh no.
Anyway, after you hit the Yukon River, you go down the Yukon River. The total of that is 200 miles down the Tanana to the Yukon. From the Tanana, you go down the Yukon 400 miles to what they call the Novi River. And you go 75 miles up the Novi River is where his cabin is at.
Wow.
And going down, you're going with the river, so it takes like 2 days. Well, we were there for a month, and we all got our moose. Mine wasn't a record by any means, but it was 56 inches across the antlers. It was a nice rack. Of course, mine didn't die right on the riverbank like my buddies did. Mine went quarter mile back in the brush to die. So then you take the chainsaw and 2 guys start cutting the trail back to the moose, and the other guys back there gutting and skinning, and then you quarter it. And you take an old army stretcher and you put a quarter of a moose on it, and 2 guys head for the boat. That all sounds real fun. But that took about the better part of 10 hours to get that little job accomplished.
Did you have a freezer on the boat?
No.
No. Oh.
Oh, it's late in the fall, and
Oh,
you just
okay.
hang it up. And so we get it in the boat, and we get back, and we hang it up, and everybody gets their moose. Well then, this one guy, there's several of these guys that know each other that go the same, and they each have cabins, you know. So this one guy decides that he has to go back to Anchorage because he has to go to this business meeting. So we've stayed a little longer, and he's supposed to fly into Anchorage, go to this meeting, and fly back with a couple barrels of gas for us because we've used more gas than, you know, we don't have enough gas to get home. So we're basically all got our moose, and we're just drinking what whiskey we have left, and we had lots of whiskey, and playing stud poker with a pinochle deck.
Oh Lord!
I think I owe Mike Rakestraw $82,000 or something such.
Oh my God!
Anyway, and it was penny ante to start with. Anyway, we're waiting for this guy to fly back to gas. Well, finally, the river starts getting ice. Mike says, we can't wait. And the guy that's running this guy that's supposed to bring us to back, he's got a little boat there too. We got a 24-footer, and this one's like a 16-footer with low sides. And we're in the river barge. So we decided, well, we can't wait anymore. We'll run for the village of Tanana. So we go down the Novi, and the village of Tanana is right at the junction of the Tanana and the Yukon River, so that's 400 miles away. So we're heading upriver, and it's storming and nasty, and we're not hitting ice there yet, but the rollers are, 5-6 feet high, and there's splash spray coming over the bow of the boat, and I got my parka on, and at the end of the first day, we get to where we're gonna stay, and there's cabins along the river all over. And in Alaska, it's a standing rule that if you need shelter, you just go in. The fire's already laid. All you got to do is strike a match, and the matches are right there. And then, if you stay and use their provisions, eventually you bring provisions back, or get a hold of them and give them provisions so that it gets restocked. But you find a cabin in the woods, there is no lock on it, and it's all ready. All you got to do is fall in and strike the match and save yourself. So we get to this cabin. Mike gets the stove going. I can't get out of my coat. There's about 1.5 inches of ice
Oh my God.
froze clear up the front of my coat from the splash coming over the front of the boat.
Oh God.
So I eventually just laid down on the stove,
Oh my
barrel
God.
stove, and let it thaw my coat out enough that we could get it off. So that's the first day. Well, it takes us about 3 days, and we're still not to Tanana yet. So we're running low on gas, so we decide that we'll beach the big boat, and I'll stay with it. The other 3 guys will get in the little boat and take all the gas, put in it, and go. Well, another thing along about this is I smoked. I smoked a lot. I hadn't had a cigarette for 2 weeks.
Oh boy.
While these guys are gone, I'm needing a cigarette so bad. I get this wonderful brainy idea. I got papers, but no tobacco. So I take the Red Rose tea,
Oh my
out of the tea
God.
bag.
Oh my
and
God.
I put her in the paper, and I roll that baby up. I think I took 2 hits off of it before I hit the ground.
Oh my God.
Jesus.
That stuff damn near killed me. Don't
Oh,
ever
no.
smoke Red Rose tea.
I
Hey.
would never have thought of smoking red rose
Hey, when you're really hard
By
up for a
yourself in the
smoke,
middle of
brush
nowhere.
maybe, but red rose tea.
you know, there wasn't no brush around to smoke either.
Oh.
But I had tea bags, lots of tea bags, and I figured, by God, you
It
could
looks
smoke
like
that.
that.
Yeah, well, you can't smoke it, believe
Yeah.
me. So anyway, I'm just kind of hanging around watching the moose, and meanwhile, we've not had anything other than moose meat to eat for
Oh no.
days.
So you're
either.
starving to death.
No, we're got lots of moose meat. We got 4 moose in the boat, so but it's kind of bland. There's nothing other than. So the other 3 guys go up to Tanana. They come back. They got 2 barrels of gas, single pack of cigarettes
Oh.
for Carl. I could have killed him over that because he was a non-smoker and he only bought me 1 pack of cigarettes. And we're still days and days away from home. And what was it that he brought that? Oh, the only kind of pop they had was Orange Crush.
Ugh.
I think I drank 3 bottles of Orange Crush just as fast as, because I hadn't had nothing to
No
water
sugar.
and moose meat.
So you had quite a sugar rush going
Oh
there.
yeah.
Yeah.
That on top of the tea, it was a real red letter day. And then the camel filter on top of that just touched her right off. She was just a wonderful day. But anyway, gassed up the big boat, on up the river we go. So we get a couple more days up the river. We get past Tanana into the Tanana River. Get across the Squaw Crossing. Same thing. We're running into ice pans now. We have 2 motors on the big boat. A big pan of ice has hit the front of the boat, the boat slid up over it, and when it come under the back, it tore the lower unit off 1 motor.
Oh
So we're
no.
down to, we got one motor.
Uh-huh.
And we got one spare prop left. And we're going up the river, so now, instead of being towards the back of the boat, Carl is at the front of the boat, laying on the bow, and when we come to a big pan of ice, I got the pipe pole and I'm making it go so it doesn't take our other motor out. And meanwhile, the river's going real fast by you, going that way, and all of these pans of ice makes you really, really dizzy, because
Oh no.
you're trying to go this way and everything that's coming by you is going this way, and you're laying there. We get up there a couple more days, same thing. We're out of gas, we're down to one prop. So take all the gas, and the two guys that are in the little boat, they take off to go get us help. So Mike and I,
Okay. Hold on for 1 second.